In a recent lecture, screenwriter David Goyer, who wrote such films as Christopher Nolans Batman series and the recent Superman film Man of Steel, was asked about the notion of Superman killing. His answer shed some light on the events of Man of Steel, but also about where we could see Superman go from here. Here's his answer at length. "We are pretty sure that was going to be controversial," Goyer said. "It's not like we were deluding ourselves, and we weren't just doing it to be cool. We felt in the case of Zod, we wanted to put the character in an impossible situation and make an impossible choice. This is one area, and I've written comic books as well, and this is where I disagree with some of my fellow comic book writers. Superman doesn't kill. It's a rule that exists outside of the narrative, and I just don't believe in rules like that. I believe when you're writing film or television, you can't rely on a crutch or rule that exists outside of the narrative of the film. So the situation was, Zod says, 'I'm not going to stop until you kill me or I kill you.' The reality is no prison on the planet could hold him, and in our film, Superman can't fly to the moon. And we didn't want to come up with that crutch. Also, our movie was in a way Superman Begins. He's not really Superman until the end of the film. We wanted him to have that experience of having taken a life and carry that through onto the next films. Because he's Superman, and because people idolize him, he will have to hold himself to a higher standard." John, what do you think of Goyer's comments?
I got to completely agree with all his comments, and I think it's very interesting where I believe this is going to lead us. You know, Schnepp and I did a special 10-minute video specifically on the topic of would Superman kill? And, you know, our conclusion was, yes, Superman would kill because of a couple things. Number one, he has killed in the comic books before. That's been well established. And most importantly, he was kind of put into a no-win situation. You know, a lot of people will talk about the end of Superman or of Man of Steel and say, you know, oh, he should have taken the fight out into the desert, or he should have taken the fight in space. Guess what? He had been Superman at that point for less than 24 hours. I mean, he didn't really know. And he's fighting a lifelong dude who was bred to be a warrior. And that fight was going to happen wherever Zod wanted the fight to happen. And Zod was saying, my intention, just so you know, Kal-El, is to kill everybody. I'm going to destroy everything until either you or I are dead. That was the reality. And in that reality, Superman kills him, and he had to. There was no choice. It's like Goyer said, it was an impossible choice in an impossible situation. Now, what I really like about Goyer's comments here is not just reflecting back on Man of Steel, but the fact that that choice, that decision that he had to make, I believe is going to take us into the next Man of Steel film and into Justice League. I believe that that moment where he kills Zod, and we see in the film that, like, how torn up he is about that, how devastated he was that he had to make that choice, screaming out in agony. I believe that that moment is going to be a very significant thing moving into the future films. I think we're going to see that shape. And I believe Goyer is alluding to this, that decision and that moment in that film is going to shape what Superman is and what Superman becomes and how he views himself and his power and developing his own moral code of conduct. And I believe killing is going to be a part of that and how that's all going to play out. So I love that Goyer was reflecting on this. I love that they put a lot of thought into that, and it wasn't just some, let's just have Superman kill somebody. No, it was deliberate. I believe they had a future plan for it. I believe the scene played itself out that way. And I believe as we move forward into the next Man of Steel and in Justice League, I think that moment is going to become a key pivotal thing that's going to shape the Superman that we see on the big screen from now on.
Yeah. I also like that he mentioned not using necessarily the source material as a crutch, because I think a lot of fans of comic books are always upset with the movies because they say, well, it wasn't like the comic books, and you say all the time that it doesn't need to be, and I love that he kind of addressed that. I
agree completely.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news, and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.